We're at Camp in Comfort, Texas. What's your name?
My name is Richard Goforth.
Why is your name Richard?
Because your name is Richard.
Well, what does that have to do? What am I to you?
This is my grandfather.
Yeah. So don't forget. So this is my grandson named after me. My one and only grandson named after me. So Richard was at a camp called Camp. And it's a very unique camp. This is his first time, not as a camper, but as a camp staffer. And so it's a very unique camp. What is unique about this camp?
Well, what makes this camp really awesome is that it's a camp for people with disabilities of all kinds, and so it gives kids a chance that don't normally get treated the same as others, a chance to be on equal grounds.
Obviously, he had a boy, a young man.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He was 18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and how was the experience? Did you react well? Did he react well? Did you feel any bonding at the time?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So my camper Christian is a really nice guy. What was interesting about it is the fact that at first his personality didn't really show. It was kind of hard to interact with him because he didn't talk at all. He wasn't capable of speaking, but he did understand what you said quite well. So what made it difficult at first, but then later I became more accustomed to it, was the understanding kind of the way that he interacted with you without any kind of really very specific language. So he had certain phrases he said or certain words that he said which no one else would really say. But after a while, you generally become accustomed to the way that they speak and what it means.
Did you have to have him the whole time? In other words, do you get breaks? That's pretty daunting to have him that many hours. What was that like?
Yeah, it gets a little stressful. I mean, I will admit. It's as a counselor, it's your duty to make sure that they're both like kept up well, that they're not getting dirty, or that you have to make sure that they're comfortable, because sometimes they aren't really capable of telling you that whether or not they're comfortable. So that got a little stressful here and there, but so we would get small breaks in between different activities, and the day usually was comprised of about 3 or 4 activities. And so we did get little breaks here and there, but either way, the experience of being able to get them to both adapt to their situation or their activity and trying to allow them to have a lot of fun, although partially stressful, was also a good experience.
What, after the whole 5 or so days that you had, what would you say you walked away with? What has been your highlight?
It's really interesting. There's a couple things that I'd say I got away from it. One very interesting thing, in my opinion, is watching the personalities of the campers grow and mesh with each other, as well as just seeing it for yourself. Being able to see the strong personalities of these young men who you don't really see it at first, because most of them don't really talk very well or at all, and seeing their personalities can be a bit difficult at first. But throughout the course of the week, throughout the different activities and everything, you really start to learn what not only what they like and what they don't like, but just generally the way that they act and their personalities as a whole.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up by asking you a question, and this has all been unrehearsed. So you, to the best of your ability, kind of what comes to your mind, the first thing that comes to your mind, what is the word compassion mean to you?
That's really interesting, because I actually did think about that a little bit towards the beginning of camp. Generally what I think of is just to suffer with, or to, that goes to the roots of the word, calm meaning with, and passion just meaning just like different emotions basically. But so I guess what I would think of is the ability to understand another human's circumstances or their hardships, and being able to kind of feel it with them and understand what it must be like.
Great. So I asked Richard to come and had this interview because I wanted to focus on the compassion aspect of it. You know, Jesus, it tells us multiple times that he had compassion on various groups, the sick, those widows that lost a child, that on the spur of the moment he felt compassion, raised them up to life. Jesus was very compassionate. In fact, his ultimate compassion is seen at the cross. He's compassionate for us as sinners, completely lost and unable to help ourselves. And so he goes to the cross and pays the ultimate sacrifice with that compassion, and he gives up his life for us. The Bible says in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So he's ultimate compassion. Another byword of the word compassion is love. And love and compassion motivate each other. And so I'm thankful that Richard was able to come to the camp and be a part of this camp and learn compassion. How old are you now, Richard?
I'm 16.
So at 16, Richard died to himself. He gave up a whole week of fun and pleasure at the beginning of summer vacation and gave up his time getting to bed at 12 and getting up at 6 for 5 days in a row, not for himself to have fun and pleasure, but to serve somebody else, his camper, the one that was assigned to him. So thank you, Richard, for that. That's a great experience, and I pray the Lord will use that in your life for not only yourself and others, but even your own brother, William, who is completely at the place where he needs compassion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So God bless you. Thank you. So I leave you with this word to pause and ponder.